Hey y'all, welcome to the Style Chronicles. I thought I would review the MAC Studio Sculpt Concealer for you guys since I just recently did the Select Moisture cover and I plan on doing the Pro Longwear as well as the Studio Fix. So let me go ahead and show you guys the Studio Sculpt Concealer. It comes in the glass pot, much like the paint pots. And I have had mine for over a year. These last very long. Matte concealers last very long for me. Over a year, and I made a very conscious effort to use this up. This concealer is one of those that I love but can't use, if that makes any sense. I love this concealer. When you first apply it, it just is beautiful. It is the look that I want. The perfect concealer that I want to love for the first hour. And then after that, my oiliness just, it starts to fall off my face. But for that first hour, it is like the effect that I'm going for. It is the perfect concealer. If you have dry skin, I would highly recommend any of the Studio Sculpt line from MAC, the concealer or the foundation. They are so awesome for dry skin. My mother actually has dry skin and she uses the concealer and the foundation and her skin always looks flawless. But it's great. This concealer is pretty thick. Now I am towards the bottom of my pot, and this actually worked extremely well for me in the fall winter when it's cooler outside and my skin does get a little bit drier than normal. In the spring and the summer when it's hot and it's humid here in Houston, it really does not work well at all. Now, this fall and winter, unfortunately, it didn't work very well because we really did not have a cold snap of any sort. It was like cold a day or really like 6 hours and then it would get hot again. So whatever. Anyway, beautiful concealer. It's got a very thick consistency. You can see that. And I am the shade NC15 in MAC, like throughout the whole range for the most part. There are some products that I use an NW in, and if you know anything about the undertones, one's yellow, one's more cool tone, one warm tone, cool tone. The NC is the cool tone, the NW is the warm toned, and you use them differently dependent on how your skin appears, more cool toned or more yellow. So it, according to your undertones, is the way you match yourself, or the way they will match you. Okay, so this concealer covers me the same way that I like for the Studio, is it Studio Finish? Studio Fix. I get the concealer and the foundation mixed up. I think it's Studio Finish Concealer. The same way that I, like that one, I love this one. It's just like I said, after about an hour, it really, it starts to pull off, and that's just because my skin is so oily. There's really no way for me to combat that. But if I could find this concealer in something that is equivalent, to it for oily skin, that is what I am after. And the Studio Finish does that, but it also is extremely drying, so it's kind of a give or take. I have tried mixing them together successfully. They work nicely together, but then I start to see elements of what I don't like about Studio Finish and elements of what I don't like about Studio Sculpt when they're mixed together. Only they're together, if that makes any sense. So, okay, here we go. Very opaque, and I will show you why I apparently love this foundation so much, this concealer so much. I will remove my under eye makeup from my eye carefully. This is just a baby wipe. I had makeup remover wipes, but those seem to have disappeared from my makeup area. And so this is just going to give you an idea. I do have concealer on. This concealer that I'm wearing is a CoverGirl concealer. It's not MAC. Okay, so this is my under eye that I conceal daily. You can see I really dislike the darkness head on. You just see it from here. If I'm looking at you from the side, or if you're looking at me from an angle, you can really see the darkness that's under there. Okay, and that is why I search for concealers all the time, because I just want that to, just go away. Go away, please, just go away. It's one of those, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would you change? Mine would be my under eye circles. I can't stand my under eye circles. It's just a battle that I feel like I will fight my entire life and always lose because they're just there and they're dark and it doesn't matter what you do to them. Okay, so here's the Studio Sculpt concealer. Now, when I do my concealer, I always set with powder. I use the Coty Airspun. This is just in translucent, extra coverage. Any of the translucent ones, there's extra coverage and there's regular. I use whichever one I grab that time when I go in, but it lasts me for a pretty long time. I also use a Bare Essentials Max Coverage Concealer Brush. I've had this for years. I use this all the time. I also like to use a Laura Mercier Camouflage Concealer Brush, which works extremely well also. So let me go ahead and get started. And I just simply take, you can do this with a concealer brush or you can do it with the actual, your finger. I just like to take my finger, get it into the pot. It's getting a little difficult since I'm getting down to the bare minimum of this. And then I just go in and put it directly on top of whatever I'm trying to conceal. And so I begin by patting it into my under eye area, like so. And then I will bring it down into this triangle that we always hear everybody talk about, to make sure that this is extremely concealed, because I like it very, very light underneath there, very bright and heavily concealed. And then I go into the center or the corner of my eye and I make sure that it's all the way up. Now when you do this, oh thank you honey, when you do this and you have eyeshadow already on, like you've already done your eyeshadow, it really helps to bring this up so that your eyeshadow looks pretty sharp right there. That really does waken your eye up. It kind of, if you can see the shape it gives it compared to this, it really kind of gives you like a youthful look because it pulls your eye this way. So just continue patting it in and make sure that it's very well blended. I'm just going to look in the mirror really quickly. Okay, and then I will take that powder brush with a little bit of powder dabbed on there, and I will tap it in to set the powder. Now, two things you need to remember when you're doing this. Patting it in with your finger, you are patting, literally pat. Do not do this, because people will pull and rub under their under eyes. Do not do that. You are removing concealer for one instead of patting it into place, and you're also pulling on that delicate skin around your eye area that everybody always tells you not to yank on or anything like that. So pat. It also leaves an even layer of concealer when you're doing that, and the more you pat it in, it kind of like sinks into your skin if it absorbs well. And then the other thing is when you're doing this powder, you just get the powder onto your brush and remember to pat. Pat, pat, pat. Do not put the brush down and pull, because when you do that, you are creating lines or crevices in the concealer as you're setting it, so you will see like where the bristles ran across your skin, and once again, you're pulling concealer off of your skin instead of setting it into place. So you have to be very, very careful about that when you are doing concealer. You just pat, pat, pat the powder to set. And that is the Studio Sculpt Concealer. This is the concealed look that I love. You can see it looks, my under eye looks concealed. From the side, you don't see the harsh shadows or anything like that. Yes, that's Eva. You don't see harsh shadows or anything like that. And it looks lit up. And then once you, I have old blush on, but once you do a highlight and a blush and like a contour or a bronzer of any sort, it just, makes a beautiful, beautiful look. So you're starting with your flawless canvas. This concealer, like I said, will only stay like this pretty for about an hour, and then it will wear off, unfortunately. But if you have dry skin and not oily skin like I do, it is one that I strongly suggest because it is great for the under eye area. So that is my review on it. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Want to be able to wear it, but I really can't just because of my super oily skin. But it is a great, great concealer. It is very opaque. It covers very, very nicely, very evenly. It's not sheer at all, and it's just so, you can feel it. It is very emollient, if that makes any sense. It's just very thick and very creamy. So, thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.